Hello techies! Welcome to our brand new video series focused on helping you get the most of your experiences in life. Before we start the video, let's know about Upptalk. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms.
Okay. Let me unshare it. So total and the success factor in the provisioning system. When we discuss about the Employee Central, we have total 7 data models. Okay. So this data model help us to maintain the configuration from the backend system. Whatever the functionalities of features which we are seeing in the front end, that is due to the configuration which has been maintained from the provision. Okay. So, coming into the employee related, what you call foundation means organization structure and employee data, the configuration which we are maintaining it is from the provisioning. Okay. So here we have total 7 data models. So data model help us to maintain the configuration, which is related to the organization structure, as well as the employee data. Okay. So the first and foremost data model which we are using for maintaining the organization structure is the corporate data model. So corporate data model. It defines the objects and the fields of the foundation objects. Okay. So, when we discuss about foundation objects, what foundation objects it specifies? It specifies the objects and the fields of the which are there in the foundation objects. So when you go here you can see this is the foundation object. These all are foundation objects that you are seeing here. Okay. So each foundation object will be having some standard fields or the custom fields. Okay. So from where these objects and fields are coming? It is coming from the corporate data model. That is the first data model. Okay. So it defines the objects and field for the foundation object. Okay. That is related to the corporate data model. So, whenever we are into the implementing this application, the first and foremost thing is to work on these data models, from the provisioning to enable these data models, upload these data models into the system. Then only so, these locations and other foundation objects, these other foundation objects, will be reflecting in the manage of the waste. If you are not imported it, this will. These all foundation objects will not be reflected. Okay. So the first and foremost thing is the corporate data model. Second thing, the another part of the corporate data model is a country-specific corporate data. So what is the difference between a corporate data model and a country-specific corporate data model? Country-specific defines the object and the field for a specific to a particular country. Okay. And when you are defining any object and field in the corporate data model, it specifies applicable to all countries. Okay. Not specific to a particular country. For example, now, if you are going here, I'm taking a location. Okay. So I'm taking a location and in the location I'm taking the country as UAE. So, whatever the fields which are showing here, location, name, description, status, location, group, time zone, all these fields will be applicable to all other countries also by default. Okay. It is not specific to UAE. Okay. It is applicable to all other countries, because the reason is that that is being defined in the corporate data model. That is defined it in the corporate data model. Country-specific means, suppose, in country-specific. If I'm going and defining a particular field here, extra field, custom field, and when I choose UAE, that field will automatically populate here. But when I'm choosing other countries, that field will not be populated. It indicates that that field is configured in the country-specific corporate data model, not in the corporate data model. Understood the difference between a country-specific corporate data model? Yes. Okay. So that will be changing according to the country here. So now when I'm going here, you can see here it is a mandatory field country. Right. Okay. So there are a lot of countries are showing here. So if it is specific, the corporate data model, country, specific corporate data model, where you are adding some specific field, when you select the country from here that field will be populating. But for other countries that field is not populated. Okay. That's how you are defining your. We are defining it in the corporate country specific corporate data model. That is the difference. Succession data model means first of all, it is an employee-related data model. So employee-related means now employee profile. Right. I'm not sure it is open or not. So in Santosh Kumar employee profile can you see here personal information. These are the sections right. Personal information, biographic nationality ID, all these are the sections which are showing. Right. So every section will be having a subsection and every subsection will be having a portlet. This is called as a portlet, and each portlet will be having standard as well as custom fields. Okay. So these fields which you're seeing, salutation, first name, middle name, last name, which you're seeing, all if I'm going into biographic information, person ID, country over bad ID, this you are seeing. Okay. All these things from where it is coming from? The succession data model. Okay. From the succession data model, that is, from here. Okay. Defines the section and the field which is showing in the employee profile, that is, the HR data. Okay. Subsets country succession data model means, if I go into suppose, job information. So, in this job information, in the job information portlet, whatever fields which you're seeing here, these fields are rooting from which data model? From the succession data model. Okay. But if I want to, for instance, if I'm going back here and if I'm taking an employee who is basically from a particular country called France or Germany, so when I open that employee profile, then I can see an additional field for that employee. But for any other employees from any other countries that field will not be showing, then that field is being configured from the country. Specific succession data model. Got it. Understood. The difference between the succession data model and that country's succession data model. Okay. So any field or anything which is particularly belongs to a specific country or a region, we are going with country-specific succession data model. But if you are defining any field or object in succession, means by default it is applicable to all countries. Okay. Whichever employee has been hired in whichever country, in that employee profile that field will be visible. Understood. That is the difference between a succession and a country. Source. Why I highlighted all these 4 parts. Because the reason is that, although we have a 7 data model, but currently we are using actively only 4 data model. Okay. It means that there is a dependency still with the 4 data models. So if we need to change anything from there, if any changes is required in the front end. Suppose, if I want to make something for the corporate data model or a country-specific or succession or country-specific, I need to go into the poor building and I have to work on this particular data model, downloading that data model. Okay. Because those options are still not available in the front end. So that is the reason that dependency is still there in the poor building. Remaining 3 data models, that is, propagation data model, product flow data model and event reason derivation data model. These data models are not required right now. They are outdated. The reason is that we have another feature where we can maintain the configuration in the front end, only the other, maintaining it from the provisioning. So because of that, we are not using propagation, data model, workflow and event reason because their configuration is already been maintained in the front end. So now we had a feature in the front end means SAP recommends that we should not maintain the configuration at both the ends, like front end and both back end. Either you maintain it at the front end or you maintain at the back end. Okay. Both areas, we cannot able to maintain the configuration. So, because of that, these 3 data models we are not using, because they are the configurations are already being maintained in the front end. But coming into the top 4, those configurations are still being having that dependency from the provision. So that is the reason, whenever we require some changes in the front end, we have to go into the back end. For these 4 data models. Is it clear? Any questions? So the last 3 can be done in the front end. Yeah. Yeah, last 3 can be done in the front end. And there are 2. There are 2 ways. Either you can maintain the entire configuration in the back end or, when we have a feature in the front end, we can maintain the configuration in the same feature in the front end system. So if you are maintaining it in the front end, we are not using this data models. Okay. Now recently, in the month of November, that is last release. SAP SuccessFactors. Last release happened in 2H 2022. In that release what they have done. They have decided to deprecate means totally delete this event reason derivation data model from the provisioning, because we are already maintaining the configuration in the front-end system. So they decided to totally remove this data model from the provisioning. So now from January onwards we don't have the option also for maintaining the event reason derivation from the back end. Everything will be maintained in the front-end system. Okay. Coming to the propagation and the bulk flow. They have not migrated. They have not deleted these data models, but
Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us at sales@upptalk.com.